Thanks again for staying with us on this Friday. I'll tell you, if you're looking for a summer weekend, don't look here in southern Ontario. It's going to be chilly, the potential for snow, and let's talk about that lake effect snow. Snow squall watches and warnings continue. The warnings where it's happening right now, there is one band through the Goderich area, and it was at one point reaching Woodstock, at this point now under only a watch. And there's that significant band in the Before 01, some sort of Signs, if you've ever seen the movie with Mel Gibson. Maybe that's an older reference. Okay, so snow and lake effect snow specifically is interesting because it is extremely isolated. Where Barrie picked up 15 to eventually potentially 30 centimeters of snow, I'm in the south end of Guelph and nothing. Outside of our Oakville studios, nothing. The grass is green. So it really just depends if you get into one of those snow bands or not. And that's where we're seeing the heaviest snow right now. As the winds shift to a more westerly direction, or from a westerly direction, we're actually going to see those snow bands shifting and easing as well. So the snow that we see overnight tonight and through Saturday is not going to be nearly as intense as we have seen over the last 24 to 48 hours. But take a look at Toronto. Flurries potentially, not really accumulating snowfall, but snow flurries, and -2 overnight. You factor in the winds, it feels a few degrees colder. Then you compare that to Edmonton. If you think, oh, it's so cold here in Toronto, well, at least in the winds. I know in Edmonton and Alberta as a whole, they're hardier than us here in southern Ontario, but I would be head to toe bundled up if wind chill values here were in the -30s. So again, earlier this morning, record-breaking cold for the second morning in a row in Alberta. Luckily for them, if you have family or friends in Edmonton or Calgary or out in the oil fields, this is kind of the last day of really cold air for them, and their temperatures moderate over the weekend. And by Tuesday, Calgary's at 1 degree. Kind of similar to our weather here in southern Ontario. We do have, I don't want to say high pressure. There's no big storm heading our way in the long-range forecast. There is a trough for Sunday, and that's going to stir up the lake effect snow again. So specifically for the eastern shores of Georgian Bay, we could potentially see some significant snowfall amounts. Here in the GTA, it's, Saturday night into Sunday, the potential for a centimeter of snow. Monday, a centimeter. Tuesday, a centimeter. So flurries are in the forecast. Cold is in the forecast, but no big snowstorm heading our way just yet. We'll have more details on our long range coming up shortly. Thank you very much, Mr. St. Clair. The lake effect snow we saw earlier today in Kitchener-Waterloo and still currently in the Barrie area, that would put us on the list for the top 5 if the lake effect snow didn't eventually start to die down. Once the lakes freeze over, yeah, that would be some lake effect snow. The potential is still there, especially in the Barrie area as we head through the night and even through the day tomorrow, especially for the eastern shores of Georgian Bay. I mean, the lake effect snow could continue. It's just not going to be as bad as we've seen over the last 24 hours. And then it really picks up again on Sunday, specifically for cottage country, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. Through this evening, you can see that temperatures are just below the freezing mark. Hamilton, we're not ruling out some flurries, just not really accumulating snowfall. And I want to talk about Sunday because I think this is really the next big weather story for us. Through Saturday, you'll start to see this trough, the red dashed line, just representing some instability. You see it develop, and through Sunday, it's going to pick up that lake effect snow and kind of enhance it. So it's that one band off of Georgian Bay that should have us concerned if we're doing any traveling through cottage country. The potential is there for some peaks of sun, but we're talking about a cold day. 2 degrees for a daytime high. We should be closer to 7 degrees at this time of year in the city of Toronto, so we're below seasonal, and it will feel a few degrees colder when you factor in the winds. There's also the potential for flurries, which is nice. I mean, it sets the scene for Santa Claus, but we could actually see a centimeter of snowfall accumulating across the GTA. And again, for Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, it's a pretty snowy long-range forecast, but a centimeter of snow or less, so it's not a lot of snow, just the flurries continuing through most of the next few days ahead. Overnight tonight, we dip to -2. For Saturday, we don't get warmer than 3, and when you factor in the winds, it'll never feel warmer than probably the freezing mark or even -1. So a chilly day for Saturday, for Sunday as well, and then actually into Monday, that's when we see some of our coolest air into Tuesday. So Tuesday, daytime highs of -1, feeling like -9. And for the long-range forecast in Ontario, it kind of picks up where we are right now because those lake effect snow bands, those squalls, will actually continue through the weekend. The weekend, I should say. It's not going to be as intense through the day tomorrow, but as a trough moves in through the day Sunday, it's actually going to pick up intensity. So you can see for the eastern shores of Georgian Bay in particular, through cottage country, we could see some significant snow through the day Sunday in particular. So snowfall totals 15 to 30 centimeters through tomorrow, but that's before the big snow into Sunday. And even for the city of Toronto, I mean, basically, Saturday night into Sunday, the potential for a centimeter. Sunday, a centimeter. Monday, a centimeter. Tuesday, a centimeter. There's no big snowstorm heading our way in Ontario, no big system. But with the instability, with the lake effect snow, the potential is there to see spotty snow flurries. But it's really this Sunday through cottage country that we have to watch out for. And then what happens in Atlantic Canada? Well, it's sort of wet snow. You shouldn't see any accumulations in Halifax, but some snow nonetheless. So once we get through this system, I mean, Newfoundland overnight tonight, picking up some snow, rain in St. John's. But in the long-range forecast, it's going to be that system in Ontario intensifying and moving in through the day Monday. At this point in time, it's a very similar system to what you're seeing now. Fredericton and north could be into the snow, and to the south, it's going to be predominantly rain. So Monday and Tuesday looking a little bit messy. Across the west, the biggest story, the cold. Record cold temperatures again this morning. I mentioned Edmonton, minus 27 degrees. The best story in the long range for you is that temperatures are warming. Take a look at Calgary. Cooler through the weekend, by Tuesday, +1. And today was kind of the last of the really cold air. We slowly start to moderate. Same thing for Regina. Cold through the weekend, back to -5, -6 by mid next week. And then Vancouver, I mean, a stretch of all this weather, dry, sunshine, but it has been a little bit chilly, a few degrees cooler than normal, and you will see rain by the end. Thank you very much for that, Cash. And of course, snow squalls, lake effect snow still in the forecast through this evening, specifically in around the Barrie area and along the 401, potentially from Kitchener toward London. But things are going to really ease as the winds become more westerly tonight through the day tomorrow, and then they'll pick up again for Sunday. So these snowfall totals, 15 to 30 centimeters in the hardest hit areas, those are more so through tomorrow, and the bulk of it has fallen already. We haven't even gotten to Sunday yet when the trough moves in, and that's going to pick up a lot of that lake effect snow for Georgian Bay in particular, enhance it. And so if you're heading to cottage country on Sunday, it could get pretty messy on the roads with a lot of snow in the forecast. We'll talk about that coming up. Let's talk about the winds for Saturday. Numbers in white. Your sustained winds, that orangey kind of color, those are your wind gusts. So the winds aren't anything special through the day Saturday, gusting close to 30 or 40 kilometers per hour, but it's the wind direction that really makes a difference. So whether the winds are coming in from the west or from the southwest, it really changes the direction where the lake effect snow is going to go. And as I mentioned, it is going to become more westerly overnight tonight through the day tomorrow. 3 degrees in Toronto as a daytime high tomorrow will feel closer to -1 when you factor in the winds. We should be closer to 7 degrees at this time of year. So we're a good 5 degrees below our normal average for this time of year. And then Sunday, the potential for snow. Let's talk about Sunday. It's a big day. Actually looking at the hourly forecast. If you go to our website, theweathernetwork.com, look at Toronto's hourly forecast, specifically for noon on Sunday. It looks like the flurries have a better potential all morning, ends at about noon, but still 2 degrees, feeling colder when you factor in the winds. Make sure the kids are bundled up because it's going to be chilly. Now take a look at Sunday. Again, the heavier snow will definitely be through cottage country. We could see flurries up to a centimeter in the GTA, specifically through the morning, and then again later in the day. But there you go, 2 degrees. That's your official forecast. Kim, you're one of my very best friends. Did you just quote Taylor Swift? You know that you have teenage daughters when you are quoting Taylor Swift in Around the World in 60 seconds. We mentioned earlier that parts of the United States saw more snow than we have seen here in southern and central Ontario. Parts of Michigan, over 120 centimeters of snow. Same kind of lake effect system setup. Now the thing is, we've seen the worst of it for the most part in around Georgian Bay, Lake Huron. The potential is still there to see those 2 snow squall bands through the night and into tomorrow. So Saturday, there's still the potential, but for the most part, the worst of it is over. The winds are going to change direction. So every time the winds shift, the snow bands shift as well, or the squalls shift as well. The other things you need to know, because you may need a bit of a refresher when it comes to lake effect snow, the setup is needed to have the water at least 13 degrees warmer than the air, which we do have, considering it's so chilly over the last couple of days and will continue to be chilly. You also need the length of the water. It's known as a fetch. So the longer the fetch, the more snow potentially that could accumulate. Now, you also need the winds to be in a certain direction. And it's not necessarily that windy right now, but it's windy enough, and it's picking up along the water, along the fetch, all of those snow bands. So again, the Barrie area, the Kitchener area earlier this morning, winds are only sustained, around 20, 25 kilometers per hour, but it really is the wind direction that matters most at this point in time. And tonight through tomorrow, the winds are going to become more westerly, and that's why the bands are going to shift direction. And in Barrie, where you've already seen 15 centimeters of snow, luckily you won't be continuing to see all of that snow over the next 24 hours. Things should move around for you. Take a look at these temperatures. Toronto should be close to 7 degrees at this time of year. We're 5 degrees below normal right through the long range. Speaking of which, the long ranger is coming up next.